Politics in the Pub is back for 2024, starting the year with a much requested topic. A fair go for young people. The panel promised to take on the topic from all sorts of angles with a great panel of young people to make their case. To tell us more, we're joined by 2023 Fremantle Citizen of the Year, Dr. Christian Mauri. Christian is part of the Fremantle network that stage politics in the pub each month at the local hotel. Good morning, Christian.
Good morning, Jeff. Man, what a great introduction.
Well, look, my first question out the gate is why is the politics in the pub model successful? But also, how? We're always taught to, keep politics away from the dinner table. I wonder about putting it at the same beer drinking table.
Yeah, it's a recipe for something, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, something.
Yeah, I think I know why it's successful. I think a lot of people find politics intimidating, exactly for why you say, Jeff, because it's something which gets people's blood pressure rising, whereas what I've tried to do with my co-organizer, Rob, is try to make it positive, a positive experience. So when I say politics, what I want you to think is how we can better live with one another. And I think people find that really refreshing.
So I guess that's how you start the evening off is, really charting out that MO is, how we can work together, not who's left wing and who's right wing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you couldn't expect a more one-dimensional view of the world than left and right, huh?
Wow, it's just a silly nothing tag.
Yeah, and what happens is I've tried really hard to get people who are, it's in Fremantle, Jeff, so you can imagine there's lots and lots of people who identify as left-wing. Getting people who don't identify there, it's been years of work, mate. When I first took over, people just basically saw it as a left-wing soapbox.
Right.
Lots and lots of work to make politics in the pub almost like Switzerland, like neutral ground where it doesn't matter what your perspective is, you can have a pint with somebody else and maybe even a curry as well.
But, you would think that would be an easy thing to suggest. But again, in the back of my mind, it's like, some people just want to stir S,
Yeah.
How do you weed them out?
They're not weeds, they're flowers.
Oh, you are a delightful person.
Yeah, I spent years working as a lecturer and as a tutor and whatnot.
Yeah.
And in that kind of environment, if there's somebody who's being a bit difficult, you can't just tell them to leave. You have to let them know that it's an amicable environment and that we're all there to hear one another and kind of model good behavior. So the few times that we have had people who are just really, really bad in politics in the pub, what I've done is I've just quietly said, we don't do that here. And then on the break, I've gone up and seen if they're okay and so on and so forth. And every now and then, Jeff, there was one time a few years ago where everybody started booing this guy. Because this guy said something which triggered everybody. And I spoke to him afterwards, and he said it was the first time he's been in the pub all year, and that was in August. So you have this poor bloke who has anxiety, and he's finally come out to the pub, and everybody boos him. And I think if everybody knew that background story about him, they probably would have been a little bit more amicable. So it's about humanizing as well.
Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Understanding the things that are going to trigger other people.
Exactly. It's a scary world out there for a lot of people.
Yeah, actually, and for those of us that, love talking politics, that's not always apparent.
Yeah, exactly. I think the more you get into politics, a lot of your listeners would know this, the more it kind of seeps into every topic, and a particular way of view starts to seem obvious. But if you're not into politics, and trust me, mate, plenty of people, in fact, aren't really into politics, that world is not obvious. And so you don't know when you're doing a faux pas. You don't know when you're stepping on eggshells. So
what sort of topics do people most want to discuss? What are the issues that the people in the pub want to talk about?
Oh, mate, it varies so much. It's funny. It depends on the season and on the year.
Or does it mimic like the mass media interpretation of what we're wanting to talk about?
Exactly. I can promise you later in this year, everybody is going to want to be treating Fremantle as if it's the United States. That's just something that's going to happen.
Right.
Whereas when it's not when it's not an election period, then people become much more environmentally concerned, much more locally concerned. So it really is kind of people's interest is predictable based on what's in the media and
Wow.
and what's in the media is international affairs.
So, like, historically, like going back, say, to 2019, it was everybody wanting to discuss the US election back then.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Oftentimes, I need to remind people we're not in the United States. Even there'll be some topics that will be really local as well, which is really, really good. So people will want to talk about, let's say there's a new building that's being made in Fremantle and people are feeling really disempowered by the state. Those kinds of matters, I feel it's if you talk about something that's very, very far away, it can be a really disempowering experience. But if you talk about something local and you can experience a win, then it kind of puts wins in your sails, if you know what I mean. So part of the motivation for Politics of a Pub is providing strong gusts of wins for people's sails so that they can sally forth and be more impactful.
So the people probably wouldn't want to talk about the third round of tax bracket changes?
That will probably be my mate Rob that will be organising that one.
How do you choose the panellists?
Yeah, that's a good one as well. So much work goes into choosing them. So people don't see, but behind the scenes, I start organising this well in advance, just contacting so many different people, looking for leads. We tend to try to go for, the first thing is, if there's an expert who can talk on the topic that is local, so lives in Fremantle, we really like to prioritize that. And then if there's somebody who is able to talk on the topic in a way which I suppose isn't completely boring. Sometimes, mate, you'll get an expert into the room and they will not have the awareness to realize that half of the room has fallen asleep or died from boredom. So we try to be sensitive to that as well. So then after we've had the expertise and the charisma, then we start to think about representation as well. So those tend to be the three main ingredients. But, mate, it's the main thing that I really wish people would understand with this is we can't put speakers in a bag and just drag them along.
Yeah.
We can invite speakers, and if they can't come, that's fine, but we can't really tell the audience, hey, we contacted this person and they refused. So for every speaker that you see, it's usually 2 or 3 speakers behind them who have been busy or so on and so forth. So it's a big net that we cast.
And does somebody chair the meeting? I mean, who keeps an eye on the fallacies that pop up?
The fallacies. Yeah, mate. It's so funny when you say fallacies. It's logical argument is not the domain of the pub. Oftentimes.
Am I expecting too much here, am I?
Well, I think what happens is you have people who might be educated, people who are not so educated, people who are really emotional, people who are really stone cold, and so on and so forth. And when they start talking to one another, it does become a little bit of a rhetorical battle. You will see people using hyperbole all of the time, for example. I think in terms of fallacies, that's something that you often expect, and people will pull one another up. The audience will pull them up. Sometimes the MC will pull them up. But really, it's a lot of the time, it's when you get people discussing politics, it's like fallacies are like fireworks cracking off through the room.
Do people walk away at times with their eyes opened after one of these discussions, or maybe even at the very outside, their mind changed?
Yes, they do. That's the win, mate. I'm so proud to be able to report this, being somebody who's been working on this really hard. The more amicable an environment, the more likely people are to listen and potentially change their mind. So there have been countless times that I've had people walking away. I've had people coming up to the speakers afterwards and saying, thank you, I've never thought of that before, countless times. It's really good to see, actually.
Man, that's gold. I would love to finish the day thinking that somebody had actually gained something from some of the actions that I'd done, that actually made them think. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I bet you do that all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure of that. Christian, what nights is this all on down at the local hotel, which is a joint I do love. It's a gorgeous joint down in Freo to start off with, and awesome of them to open their doors to political discussion. But what day and what night are we seeing all this go down?
Yeah, big shout out to the local hotel and Phil. They're really, really great for letting us do this. It's for last Tuesday of the month, February to November. So whenever it's for last Tuesday of the month, come to the local hotel for Politics in the Pub. So this month, it's on February the 27th, and it always starts at 7 p.m.
Man, well, that Phil Cooker, absolute legend of the music scene down in Fremantle, and with the local hotel under his belt now, the dude is beyond legend status. So good to see him supporting discussion down there in Freo as well, Christian.
It's great. Can I just tell you what the topic for this month is?
Please, go ahead.
So just for the listeners who missed out at the beginning, it's a fair go for young people. So this was requested heaps last year. So for the MC, we have the Senior Citizen of the Year, quite appropriate, Rolu.
Dude, see, now that's thinking, man.
Yeah, it's good. And then for speakers, we have Councillor Jemima Williamson-Wong. She's Fremantle's youngest ever councillor, elected last year. We have Kate Raston. She's Freo Young Citizen of the Year. So we've got the Young Citizen and the Senior Citizen. And she's also co-founder of We Are Women. And then we also have Zane Hoff-Wayman. So RTR listeners probably know the Jugular Parties. Best parties in Fremantle, 4 years, have been organised by the Jugular Collective. This guy is a member of the Jugular Collective. He knows all about the youth around town. And he's also living in a house with 6 other fully grown adults, not because they're forced to, but because they think that's the way of the future. So he's got a lot to say about that as well.
Right on. Well, people say there's nothing going on in Perth, and you just sort of giggle at them. It's like, come on, folks. It's a Tuesday. It's even midweek. There's something to get your teeth into. Christian, congratulations on the 2023 Fremantle Citizen of the Year, but also congratulations on, obviously it's been a long, hard road getting Politics in the Pub looking and beating into the shape that it is, but to have got it there and kept it there, it's awesome, man.
Jeff, I really appreciate your energy, mate. Thank you so much.
Well, Christian, hopefully I'll see you down there. Put my 10 cents worth in.
Yeah, do it. See you there.
That is Dr. Christian Mauri. He is the 2023 Fremantle Citizen of the Year and also the organiser of Politics in the Pub. What an awesome thing. Folks, get yourself down there and just be part of the discussion. And this month's topic, a fair go for young people. Way to go.